With the 2024 primaries fast approaching, many wonder how the primary system got started and why Iowa opts to use caucuses to choose their nominee. Let's find out, shall we? What are the Iowa caucuses? Why does Iowa hold caucuses instead of primaries to determine their nominee? And furthermore, what even are caucuses? Well, before we get into that, let's take a look at the history of the primary process. The two major parties first adopted the convention system in 1832, allowing Democrat and National Republican leaders to pick their candidates. This came at a time of deep division within the parties, sometimes preventing them from agreeing on a consensus candidate. For example, the Federalists could not agree on who to run in 1820, therefore leaving President James Monroe unopposed in his re-election bid. Thus, the party convention became the dominant system for choosing nominees. But that changed in 1968 when 10,000 demonstrators descended on the DNC nominating ceremony in Chicago, outraged that Vice President Hubert Humphrey did not run in any of the primaries. Seeing the people turn against the party machine, Democrat Party leaders realized they needed to get the people more involved in choosing their nominees.
In order to fit precinct meetings into a schedule of county, district, and state conventions, the party needed to start early. The old story is that they figured out how long it would take to print all the paperwork on their elderly mimeograph machine. So in 1972, Iowa ended up being first in the nation.
Since the 1972 primaries were implemented, Iowa has remained first in the nation for both Democrat and Republican candidates seeking to win their party's nomination.
Today, Iowa caucuses are first in the nation, mainly because the state insists on remaining first. The Republican and Democratic parties in the state actually work together, go figure, along with other early states like New Hampshire, to make sure the caucuses stay first in the nation.
During the Iowa caucuses, the voters gather in groups to determine how many delegates a candidate receives. They congregate in corners to stump for their preferred politician, with undecided voters forming their own group. Then it's up to them to try to bring in as many hesitant voters as possible to boost their candidate's support. In the Hawkeye State, a candidate's viability determines on how well their supporters can persuade others to join their cause. However, in a traditional primary state like New Hampshire's, citizens vote for their preferred candidate just as they would in a general election. Some states implement open primaries, which allow voters of any party to vote for their candidate of their choice, while others limit participation to registered party members only, known as closed primaries. Iowa's first-in-the-nation status has pushed candidates to spend a disproportionate amount of time in the Hawkeye State to gain more media attention that can propel them further as the primaries continue.
In the 1972 presidential race, Senator George McGovern's campaign was managed by a young political whiz kid named Gary Hart. Hart noticed that Iowa was going to be first in the nation and decided to make a bid here as a way to get a media boost before the New Hampshire primary. It worked. McGovern came in a close second to Ed Muskie, the establishment favorite, and gained some positive media attention. Gary Hart, by the way, used that strategy himself with good results in his own 1984 presidential campaign.
In response, other states have moved their primary dates up to encourage candidates to spend more time in their states. But after 52 years of being first in the nation, the Democratic National Committee has replaced Iowa with South Carolina as the first in the nation state. For One America News, I'm Nathaniel Manner.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.